What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about the UFC 283 pay per view going down this Saturday. The UFC's return to Brazil, first time in front of a live crowd in Brazil in, I believe, 3 years. It's going to be great to be back in front of the Rio de Janeiro audience, and it's great to be joined back by my co host, as always, Ozzy. How we doing this week, my man?
Great, first pay-per-view of the year, and for the rabid fans down there in Brazil, I think they should make it a point to be there, at least once a year. But as I keep saying, I look up at some of these cards, some of these fights are going on. I got them on like the second screen. I look up and I'm like, man, he's falling off a little bit. So I want them to regain their momentum here. Hopefully, this event is the start of a great view run for the year. But a little bit of a sketchy card.
Yeah, that's a good point though. Is like some of these fighters, like they are, low level, they're new, but like at least they're in front of like a hometown crowd. That like adds some intrigue to the fights alone, because that's what the UFC used to do all the time. They travel someplace new, they would bring a bunch of hometown fighters, and then the crowd has something to get behind. So, I don't think the card is bad per se. I think the main card is fine, but definitely not like a star-studded lineup. Last week recap, pretty bad week for me. A lot of props missed, 5 units down, bad way to start the year, and just overall some bad reads on some of the tempo props that goes the distance, inside the distance, and whatnot. So, what about you?
Yeah, so I dropped 5 units last week. I thought Ketlin. We didn't touch on that. I thought Ketlin won that fight, but it was a
Yeah,
close fight.
she
It
did.
was a close fight. It was, I thought a little coin flip, but I thought I'd probably bet Ketlin again. Maybe just not enough activity with some of the scoring, like on to Raquel a little bit. How I thought it would, and I think I would probably go with the same way again. That under in the Javid fight, I kind of felt good about it, but then freaking Mendonca just real tough and kind of didn't let Javid build up enough, consecutive strikes. And then on the ground, I was hoping that he would actually kind of go for a submission to maybe advance position, but he never ended up getting too close to a finish there. And then two bad money line bets between Puna and Damon. But we move on to here. Abdul Razak, obviously solid, super solid money line. But it was a little bit of an up and down week there. I think looking back, there's some plays that I wish I would have been on, like
The winners,
over
all the
the
winning
over.
bets.
No, specifically the over in the main event.
Yeah,
Some of the
I had one
overs there.
variation of that, which came
Yeah,
through.
just some of the overs there. Just
Strickland Live was good. Did you get any of
Yeah, I
that?
was just giving maybe credit to some of the like the fact that Strickland was showing me that I just thought he could get clipped by Imavov early, but that's probably one of the only bets that I was going to make that I didn't. I probably wish
Yeah, your mic cut out there for a second there. Just maybe reset your mic real quick. But that'll do it for a recap of last week. Let's get into these fights this week. 15 fights going down in Brazil. 15. It's a lot. I think it's too many fights, honestly. But we'll get through some of these pretty quickly, I think. And we'll start things off in the bantamweight division. Daniel Marcos taking on Simon Oliveira. A couple of contender series guys. The odds here: Oliveira -149, Marcos +129. I think these guys are all right, definitely not super proven, but I think they both had a decent showing on the contender series. And I like for this fight to go the distance. I think the fact that it's plus money is off. I think that maybe Marcos KO probably has the highest chance. Actually, no, Oliveira sub could happen as well, but Marcos doesn't grapple much, and Oliveira's a guillotine guy, so I think that should avoid a lot of the sub threat from Oliveira. And I just kind of imagine them striking with one another, maybe Oliveira gets on top and kills some clock. I just don't think the fight finishes at over a 50% rate. So I'll likely have a bet on the goes the distance here. And I actually think that Marcos is the side to a money line price, but no reason to pick a money line when I think that goes the distance is the best bet. You got any action here?
I excuse me. I really don't. I see that Marcos kind of moved over to what's it called? Kill Cliff, I think, after his fights. 93 guys. So obviously we like that. Peruvian, we like that. I'm coincidentally going over to my Peruvian side of the family, their house on Saturday, so coincidence there. But in all seriousness, two guys that Simon Oliveira, pretty good submission game, kind of good front headlock game, and not afraid to go to it either. But pretty well rounded. I would say Marcos impressed me on his contender fight after being out for a while. Being able to have a diverse attack. Kind of using Muay Thai kind of tools there, and he's just a good overall. But I think this is a pretty solidly matched fight. I can understand why people would be taking the underdog, but I do think that Simon Oliveira, just with the submission grappling game, has an advantage. So I think I would probably side with him if I was to pick this fight. But I think it should be competitive. If it stays kickboxing, I think more of a over. If you see grappling, might be a submission here.
Yeah. But like I said, for the guillotine, I mean, most of his subs are guillotine, so that's why I kind of like the over is because I can see him having grappling success, but he doesn't have a whole lot of like top game type of subs like rear naked chokes or arm triangles. So that's the reason I like that. But moving along to the next fight, also in the bantamweight division, Luan Lacerda taking on Cody Stamen. Odds for this one: Stamen big favorite minus 405, Lacerda plus 305. Any thoughts on this one?
Didn't really look at this fight too much. I just figure that no, I mean, this guy definitely had a lot of wins in the in LFA. LFA, the Brazilian contingent, was taken over by a guy who has brought over a lot of guy who was kind of one of the original guys to bring over a lot of Brazilians to the UFC, like Anderson Silva and a bunch of other guys like that. Interesting that undefeated guy, kind of just about 30, kind of giving him a guy like Cody Stamen in his first fight. 93 guy, we like that. Um, so I'm interested. I don't know. Novo Uniao guy, a lot of submissions, but Cody Stamen is a really good, flight or bantamweight. So, it's gonna be a tough test for your first fight. So I'm not playing anything on this. I feel like Cody could definitely finish him potentially, but probably goes over. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think Cody should roll too. I mean, hard to get a real good sense of how good Lacerda is. I mean, I don't think his striking looks very good. All of his wins are by sub, really. And I don't think his wrestling is that good either. So, I mean, his wrestling is certainly not better than Cody Stamen. So, I just don't see how this guy is going to be able to get the fight in his own realm. Maybe Cody, shoots a dumb takedown and puts his neck out there. But honestly, Cody should be fine on the feet here. I don't even see the need for Cody to wrestle. But I think Cody making a dumb move and initiating the grappling himself would be the riskiest way for him to lose the fight. Um, Also, I just don't understand this fight, man. I mean, like Stamen's been in the UFC for 10 fights. This guy's making his debut and he's just, just in a terrible matchup in Brazil. Makes no sense. But next fight is in the women's featherweight division. You don't hear that very often, but you got just Josiah Nunes taking on Zara-Fairn. Nunes massive favorite here, minus 500, Fairn plus 375. I think apparently this fight was booked like a year ago, and people said that if, Nunes was minus 125, and now she's minus 500 because she's been putting women in body bags. Quite frankly, I mean, Malecki, she retired her. Malecki literally had brain damage after that KO, and hasn't even been able to return to like normal life activities. And that's no
No
bullshit.
laughing matter.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
laughing
There's
matter.
no bullshit, and Pasquale, she, rocked her multiple times and like came inches like came so close to knocking her out a few times. And Farron is just some noodly terrible fighter. I mean, she is so tall and noodly. The size difference between them is going to be hilarious. She also hasn't fought in 3 fucking years.
Who
Um,
was Ferrer supposed to fight in France? This girl or no?
All in
Someone else.
Perez.
All in Perez.
Yeah.
It was that after All in made her debut, or
Yeah, it was after. It was after.
that was supposed to be All in second fight? She
Correct.
got choked out. Who she get choked out by?
Edgar, armbarder, I think, or
Egger,
something.
Armbruster.
Yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, Nunez is gonna punch a hole in Farron. I don't know if it's gonna be in her body or her head, but this is a rare time where a women's KO prop is actually juiced -135. I'm not recommending betting that, but I do think it probably inevitably hits here. I think, Farron will just fold up pretty quickly. So, what are you thinking?
I mean, this fight is crazy. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I feel like Nunes should be able to knock this woman out, or if this French lady tries to grapple her, just be enough of a little chipmunk, get out of some positions and just sort of lighten her up. Crazy, man. Like, aren't there like girls in like your day to day life that like you look at them and you're like, man, you could definitely be in the UFC's like phantom weight division. Like, have you ever told a girl that? No,
Well, I
never.
actually have run into Amanda Levy a few times out in
Right.
public. Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
But
Yes.
she's fighting at 155, I think. So I know, but get what you mean.
That girl, what do they feed them out there in Pennsylvania? Jesus Christ. 155. But man, if fucking what's her name? Nunez is kind of killing these women. Like, I don't know how there's not more of these college these girls playing college basketball. What are you doing?
Volleyball, yeah,
Go,
that would be good.
yeah, volleyball, bro. Go to freaking kickboxing class. But anyway, let's move on.
Welterweight division, Warley Alves, Nicholas Dalby. Uh, the odds for this one are Alves -128, Dalby +108. Action been coming in on Alves. I think he was an underdog about a week or two ago, and just steady action the past week or two on Alves. So people are liking the Brazilian here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I could see why that happened. I'm leaning towards Alves. I think I don't know what the plus number was, but to fade Dalby in his last fight so bad, taking naked pictures on a pier, and stuff. But he ended up persevering. I mean, he looked horrible in the first round, I think, right? He was getting
Yeah,
held down by
horrible.
Audio. Audio retired. You got Warley. Warley has kind of the same traits as what's his name, Claudio, in terms of like gassing out, being like obviously he's much more of a striker than the grappler. I just like I say that I want to get involved in the fight, but then I'm like, if freaking Worley Alves is sucking wind, after like 4 minutes, I'm gonna just hate myself that I bet a quarter, laid a quarter on him to win. So I think I gotta pass, unfortunately. But feel like it's just like too easy to hit Worley Alves. You don't know what Worley is coming out with. Like I said, you don't know if he's coming to strike, grapple, or going for guillotines. Like Nicholas Dolby's trash. Like he's not good. You got the Brazilian. I give all the Brazilians like a slight bump, like a small bump, hometown advantage. Um, like he fights from like Denmark, I think. Dolby, he's not ready for that sun out there. You see these guys like Paul Felder. They're Paul Felder. He runs marathons, bro. He's a triathlete. He's good over there. His skin is fine in the sun because he's in it so often. Nicholas Dolby, I don't know, bro. So the humidity, the crowd, the ferociousness of Warley Alves, those are all opponents that Nicholas Dolby is facing this weekend. So ultimately, the pick for me is Warley Alves to win by first round finish.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I lean Alves as well. I could see it playing out a little similar to Dalby's last fight, because Alves he hasn't been late in a fight in a few years, 3 or 4 years. And the past few guys he was late in fights with, Sergio Moraes, Sultan Aliyev, Salim Tuhari, just low level fighters. So I think that those aren't really too indicative of how his cardio is. I could definitely see it being a problem, but he is a lot younger, 32 versus 38. I think Alves has a lot more finishing upside here. Dalby really not a good finisher at all. And the only way I see Dalby, winning the fight is probably by taking over late on cardio. And if that's the case, then you're going to get a better live price on him than you are now. So I think Alves, rightful slight favorite, probably still aside. Because I think the possibility that Alves just steamrolls him from the jump is higher the possibility that Alva or that Dalby's going to be a bigger dog live. I'm almost certain Dalby's going to be, plus 150, 200, 250 at some point in the first round. So you might as well wait if you like Dalby. Um, it's going to take us along to the lightweight division, the first of the Bonfim brothers making their UFC debuts, taking on Terrence McKinney, Ismail Bonfim, the better brother of the two, in my opinion. Lightweight fight, McKinney minus 130, Bonfim plus 110. Action coming in on McKinney this week, just about a week ago. As Bobby Schmurda would
What's
say,
the
was
price? What's the price? What's the price again?
minus 130 McKinney, plus 110 on Bonfim.
Got it. Okay.
So action coming in on McKinney. I agree. Um, I think that Bonfim is definitely the better brother of the two. His fights where he fights like he takes in information throughout the fight. He makes adjustments. He seems to have good cardio, and he knows how to win a decision. His brother, I'll talk about him a little bit more, but just a different type of fighter. I'll talk about him later. But Bonfim looks like a good fighter to me. I mean, I think his defensive grappling is one of the more questionable parts about his game, but his striking looks good. His boxing is solid. He punches to the body, which is good, could be a good asset here. And McKinney, obviously we're all very familiar with him making a big imprint on the UFC in a short time. The guy is, clearly really dangerous. I mean, he's gonna be able to steamroll a lot of people early on. And I think that, very, very possible that both outcomes here are just extremely likely of McKinney knocking Bonfim out early, or Bonfim, surviving a little bit of an early storm and taking over late. Both could easily happen here. And if you think that, one is out of the question, I think you're fooling yourself because this is an evenly matched fight for a reason. I agree with the line. I think McKinney, the fact that he's such a fast starter and has that early finish equity, I think he should be the slight favorite here. But he doesn't know how to manage his cardio, and he doesn't really seem to have a whole lot of depth to his game outside of those initial, chaotic flurries. So if this goes past 3, 5, 7 minutes, I mean, I think Bonfim, the fight massively, massively favors him if it gets out of round one. So Bonfim, same story as the last fight, is you're going to have a better chance to live bet him here. Um, unless he somehow knocks McKinney out in round one. But I think that McKinney's going to start fast. He might even finish. And if he doesn't finish, you're going to get a good price on Bonfim Live. So, uh, real fun fight, good matchmaking here, in my opinion. Props to McKinney too, flying down to Brazil, taking a tough fight against an unknown guy. Good piece of matchmaking here.
Yeah, one thing that I did see this week, I think that I saw that Kenny's gonna be wearing yellow shorts this fight, which I don't like. I don't like that vibe. So I had to dock him a little bit. But overall, I think I lean towards the McKinney side. Um, this fight, it's a tough one to um pick, kind of with conviction. I feel like McKinney's style good to knock out dudes like Bonfim. Like dudes like Bonfim, I think is fine. That 3 times fast. I think he's fine, but I feel like kind of like the way he defends some of these strikes, it's just not gonna go well with a guy like McKinney. And then even if the fight goes longer, like I feel like the only way the fight gets extended when we're saying that yeah maybe whatever this guy live price blah blah blah, but the only way that this fight's going long is if the like it's hard for me to describe. Like, yeah, is McKinney kind of killer be killed? Yes, but he's not. It's not like you see like Nate. Damn, can I describe this? It's like you're not gonna be like just blocking his strikes and like all taking them and not being like either concussed or hurt or damaged. Like he's not tiring himself out. I feel being ineffective is I think the best way for me to put it. So I think he's gonna detonate a bunch of shots on this guy's chin and knock him out, or maybe take him down. I don't know. Like I feel like he could even take him down,
Yeah.
but I'm not betting on
I
this.
know what you're saying. You have to either be insanely durable like Dober or be like a grappler who can get on top because if McKinney is launching at you, I mean, it's hard to avoid that shit. I mean,
Oh, there's just these kind of guys. I used to train with the guys on point. Like you just it's gonna hurt. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing a round with McKinney, I don't care what happens, how good this shit's gonna hurt. It's gonna be a painful round.
He
So
probably
I'm
isn't nearly as good in sparring as he is in fights because he can't go, full, rabies and
saying, bro,
those
he
knees
would
up the
break a lot
middle
of people.
those knees
He'll
up the
break a
middle are
lot of people.
nasty. And, I think he's got a decent height advantage here. I think that knee in particular could be a specific weapon, for McKinney here. So I'll pick McKinney actually to win. I think, yeah, round 1 finish. But,
Just
not
ride this shit, bro. If this motherfucker, I'm doing this shit until he loses. Like that's it.
Bonfim is getting a lot of respect. I mean, like, not like that Gonzalez guy was any good, he just fought, but, like, he is 6-1, as a dog, and, like, they're pricing, Bonfim with a ton of respect, so the market clearly thinks that Bonfim's, like, a legit prospect, but I don't know, I still think he's very susceptible to lose here, so enough about that one, heavyweight fight next, Jailton Almeida taking on Abdurakhimov, Jailton -900, Shamil +550, so I doubt you're really picking Shamil here, so it seems like a matter of how is Charlton going to win the fight, in your opinion?
Yeah, Jalton's probably just gonna dive, dive on this guy's legs. It's not gonna be that intriguing. Um, I mean, I got no thoughts about this fight. Zero. Jalton's scary. But I want to know what weight class he's really gonna fight in.
Yeah,
So,
I
I
think
don't care about this.
you got to go KO over sub. I mean, sub is -175, KO is 225. I mean, with Shamil, being a big fat guy, with not much of a neck, I could see him just shelling up and taking you know, ground and pound shots as opposed to giving up the neck. But yeah, I mean, that shit's essentially just gambling, picking on the method. But, 225 versus 175, I'd much rather take the 225. He did KO Danilo Marks too in one of his fights. So, um, enough about. Also, what a stupid fight. What the hell does that even do for anybody? But anyway, welterweight division, Gabriel Bonfim taking on Mounir-Lazzez, and the line for this one, Bonfim -182, Lazzez +157. Um, sort of what I was saying earlier about the brother is that Gabriel getting a lot of respect. I mean, fresh off the contender series, and he's favored at almost 65% over Lazzez, who's a pretty proven guy. Who's I would say an up and coming prospect of his own. He's still got less than 10 fights. So, oh no, he has 13 fights. But anyway, um, yeah, I mean, I like Lazzez here. I think that Bonfim, as I was describing earlier too, just a lot different of a fighter than Ismail. Bonfim seems like your typical, fast starter looking to hurt you. Most of the guys that we see, succeeding on the contender series are just guys who bum rush people, finish them early, and that's that. His brother takes his time and figures the fight out as it goes. Seems to have good cardio, knows how to win his decisions. I can't say the same about Gabriel Bonfim. I think that his cardio is a lot less proven, and I think that he's probably going to slow down here. There was a fight of his. It was a 3-round fight, 3-minute fight against Arberth, where in round 2 of that fight, I mean, he was huffing and puffing, slowing down, and then round 3, he kind of got a second wind and knocked him out. But I think if he's slowing down in a fight that's only 5 or 6 minutes long, I think there's a good chance he does here, especially with his style of just you saw on the contender series. I mean, he just comes at you aggressively, throws a lot of punches and combinations, and his offense is good, but I just don't think it's very good in terms of winning fights that go past 1 round. Because if Lazzez is still there past a round, I think Lazzez will likely have the cardio advantage, will start to wear on him in the clinch exchanges. And, Lazzez is a solid fighter all around, all areas of the fight. I think he's pretty solid and proven. And I don't see any area where he's going to be super outmatched here. So I think that Bonfim might start fast, might get out to an early lead, but I don't think that he's going to sustain it. I think Lazzez will take over and he will win the fight. So I have some pre-fight Lazzez, and I think I'll definitely be looking to add some of that on the live line as well. So I like Lazzez here.
Yeah, interesting fight too. Rangy welterweight guys. Lazzez is much older. Even though they have the same amount of fights. When I watch Bonfim, the big Bonfim, um, I feel like guys got some good tools, some good talent. But a lot of the guys that I'm seeing him beat up feel like don't have a lot of depth, don't really know too much about defense, defending, kind of get overwhelmed by him overall. And I think that's the strength of Lazzez. Like he just kind of sticks to a even keel pace, like you saw against Lusa. He kind of had won those first two rounds pretty easily, but then in the third round he like kind of like upped the tempo a little bit, landed a few more strikes and everything like that. But overall, like a guy that kind of fights to like an even keel tempo. I think he does not give as many opportunities as some of these guys that you've seen Bonfim fight on the regionals. And then I just don't think that Bonfim's gonna be going for too many takedowns. So I see the angle why, to take the dog shot, but I kind of just like I like this fight to go over. I feel like after initial maybe kind of, high damage, like, danger, opportunities maybe in the early round, first 3-4 minutes, I think we'll settle into like a more measured pace, some clinching, maybe some grappling. But over at a little bit of plus money, maybe some starts round three. I don't think we've seen a over 1.5 come up yet. But I like this fight going, handicapping it to go the distance a little more.
I like the sound of that. I think the second half of the fight really favors my boy Lazzez, so that would be cool with me. Um, and that'll move us along to the next fight. We are halfway through the card, getting into the lightweight division. Thiago Moises taking on Mel Costa, and the odds for this one have Moises minus 375, Costa plus 310. So what are your thoughts on Costa? You think he's got much of a chance here to win on short notice?
I had watched like the more recent Costa fights just because they've been doing the LFA Brazil thing, which is cool. And I mean, he's not the cleanest guy in terms of he doesn't dominate the fights A through E to Z. But I mean, he has some skills everywhere. He has a few finishes as well. This is a tough fight for him, especially with minutes in the grappling and the wrestling that I think Thiago has made, along with his striking, which has continued to improve. But Costa is an experienced guy, right? It's gonna be his 25th, uh, right? Yeah, his 25th MMA fight coming up here. Only 26 years old. Rangy, tall. Game is a little like he just gets put in some bad positions sometimes. There's like willing to exchange, good positions, a little often. You see that in Gomez fight a little bit. And I don't think you want to be there with Thiago Moises. I do think Thiago is a better grappler. I think Thiago probably a little bit more proven. I mean, the cardio I think is to Moises as well. The kickboxing, but I think it could devolve into a lot more of an even fight than people would expect. But I'm interested to see if it go. I think the total is the most interesting side for me in this fight, but I haven't pulled the trigger either way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you just said. Costa seems pretty decent, I would say. I think he can win UFC fights. I just don't think this is a good matchup for him. Striking has potential to be close here, but as you mentioned, the Gomez fight for Costa, pretty much all I needed to see to know that Moises is, if he wants to, he's going to soundly outgrapple this guy. The back takes will be there. Moises, showed a really nasty rear naked choke in his last fight, getting Yagos out of there. And Yagos, lifetime grappler wrestler, not an easy guy to just completely clown in the grappling, but Moises, made it look easy. And I think that that's live here as well. I think that the price isn't great on it, plus 175 for Moises sub. But I could definitely see it happening. I think that's really the only intriguing bet I see on the fight. Moises' money line is heavily juiced. I think it's going to win. I see people betting over 1.5. I think that that's a little risky. I mean, I really think that Moises potentially could make easy work of this guy if he gets to the back. It really depends on just how urgent Moises is to grapple. Um, so Yeah, not really seeing any bets I love there. That's going to move along to the middleweight division. Gregory Rodriguez taking on Bruno Ferreira. Short notice contender series guy coming in to face Greg the Leg here. Odds for this one, RoboCop minus 286 with Ferreira coming back at plus 246. Actually, some action came in on Ferreira today. Uh, I'll welcome all the action on Ferreira because I mean this guy is just no good. I mean, we've seen so many guys come off the contender series with this exact archetype of just they have a bunch of first round knockouts. They fight nobody good. They don't have much skill. They just come at guys, they throw hands, and they knock them out. And Dana White seems to think this is like the greatest thing ever. But these guys come and go, and not many of them stick around. Not many of them turn out to be actually good. And Ferrero just seems like another example of that, man. I don't see anything to write home about this guy. I think Greg is gonna, win however he wants. And honestly, I'd like to see this guy's height measured by the UFC. It says he's 5'10". I wouldn't be surprised if he's 5'8" at fighting at 185 here. So, I mean, RoboCop's gonna clown this guy. So, honestly, Greg is value at the current price, and just a matter of how he's gonna win. I haven't really looked at the pricing of the props yet, but what are you thinking here? Any thoughts?
Do like Greg. I do like Greg. I mean, I think this is an interesting price though because see, Greg had that huge win in his last fight. Everybody knows Gregory Rodriguez now. They give him a short notice replacement. They knew that they wanted Greg on this card, right? Like 2 weeks after, a week after his last fight, like, yeah, Greg is fighting in Brazil. They give you a price and it's like a reasonable price to lay on Greg. What's going on here? Fuck it, bro. I don't give a fuck. I'm playing Greg too. I'm gonna look at the. I'm gonna give this fight another comb over just to kind of see, maybe if there's anything I'm not seeing all too much. I just feel that Greg, what he's shown in his UFC career, he's shown the hands and the power, right? When he's shown like the discipline game as well, right? If he doesn't have the big opportunities like against Shitty or against Marquez, right? He showed you against Dusko that he'll bide his time. He'll just come in, hit you with clubbing shots, cage push, right? If you look to tie him up as he's looking to throw those punches and kind of win a decision like that. He's shown that he'll get takedowns. He'll take people down like he did against Artem and I don't know what other Chitty took his ass down. And he's shown cardio for 3 rounds. He's shown durability. He's shown he's a fucking savage. I know he got surgery after his last fight as well. I don't know. I don't give a fuck. I'm not his surgeon, bro. I'm not no doctor. So I don't give a shit. The other guy, I mean, he's just not impressive to me overall. Um,
There's nothing to like about this guy.
I don't, yeah, like,
He
I,
swings hard. Cool.
yeah, you know what I mean? But like Greg, he keeps his hands pretty high. Like, this should be a showcase fight for Greg. I feel like the price should be like minus like 550,
Yeah.
not even 3 to 1. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They're acting like this guy's a legit KO threat. I don't see it. So
And Italian dude he knocked out fucking sucked.
yeah, just yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, this guy just there's nothing to like about him. Never fought past 6 minutes. Never has he ever fought outside Brazil? Either besides the contender series, maybe I don't know, but
cares, but
that's a,
this fight's
that's
in
enough about
Brazil.
that one.
He's shorter, he's smaller, has a better ground game. I mean, I don't
I'll take it.
know.
Um, enough about that one. We're gonna go on to the last fight on the prelims, light heavyweight division. Mauricio Shogun, who has retirement fight apparently taking on Ihor Potieria. Odds for this one: Ihor minus 205, Shogun plus 175. Any thoughts on Shogun's retirement fight here?
Yes, I'm absolutely 100%, 1000% betting on Shogun. Small play on Shogun here. I mean, he looked bad in his. I mean, he didn't look that bad in the fight. I mean, it was a bad fight overall, but he didn't look that. I thought he won,
He didn't look
but
that bad. I agree.
he looked that bad. And like he just had like he was trying to win. He was like, all right, like I got this big ass dude in front of me. He was throwing like right. He was like hitting him with a bunch of body kicks. I don't know. I forget what he was doing. he stayed this. His body like shitty. He looks, his body is what's really bad, and his like chin durability, that stuff like that. But apparently, Ihor has no cardio, dude. So and like the issues that he showed in that fight aren't really ones that you fix that quick. And you're going to enemy territory, to Brazil, and you're fighting Shogun, who I don't know, like Shogun's defense. I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna give me almost 2-1 on Shogun, I'm gonna take it. So fuck it, I'm a sucker, but I'm gonna take I, I'll take I got Shogun, bro. Like even if this is like just like you're gambling. If someone wants it, like fuck it, dude. I'll take Shogun. 2-1 almost. You get 4-1 by ITD against this young guy. Someone's getting finished in this fight, so it
So
might be Shogun. It might be Shogun, but it might be Ihor as well.
I initially was thinking Shogun, but I don't know. I mean, the thing is I reviewed Ehor's tape, and like I really don't even think this guy is like a good striker. Like I know he has knockout wins, but like I really don't think like anything he does on the feet is like impressive. He's fought a lot of low level guys who typically try to grapple him and have success either grappling him or cage pushing him, and then he breaks free and then he knocks you out. But I really don't see anything he does in the feet that's like, oh, that's gonna be, a real problem. He's just young and faster and more powerful than Shogun. But skill wise, I don't see anything that's gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be a walk in the park, even on the feet for him here. And then if Shogun, shows any resemblance of a grappling game plan, he has to be a good bet here because you got to think the easiest path to victory is the grappling. Um, but I don't even know if Shogun is aware enough or if fights with the cognitive ability to realize that grappling is his best chance. So I don't think you can make a bet here on Shogun. I think personally Shogun winning the fight would be, just enough satisfaction. You don't have to bet the plus 175 too. If Shogun escapes this fight without getting knocked out to this bum, it would be such a win for the MMA world and community that you don't even need to win the bet. You don't. You don't. So, um, and then if he loses the fight, you're gonna think, man, I really bet on a 40-year-old guy who's been past his prime for 10 years who, without a doubt, said, "I am retiring after this fight." Like, I mean, he's pretty sure about it. So I don't know. I think this one is pretty risky, and there's probably smarter bets to be made out there with intelligence than this. But Shogun by sub at 14-1, I think that's actually pretty good for a prop. Uh, that'll do it for the prelims. Five fight main card coming your way. First fight remains in the same division, light heavyweight division. Paul Craig, Johnny Walker. The odds for this one: Johnny Walker minus 200, Paul Craig plus 170. Hilarious fight here. What are we thinking? Actually, wait, no, it's my turn to go.
Yeah, I can't believe no. Let me take it
Go
because I
ahead.
can't believe you introed that fight with that level of
Excitement.
vigor, yeah,
Yeah,
and excitement. What are you doing, bro? You got Johnny Walker, the one and only, back in Brazil, first time, right? He tried to immigrate to like Scotland or some shit, Ireland. Paul Craig, going down to hold it down there. Brazil has Paul Craig fought in Brazil. Paul Craig's fought in Brazil, right?
he
Did
had.
he?
I think he beat Shogun in Brazil.
Right, that's what
Ah,
I'm saying. That was in Brazil, right? Hold on, let me see.
that was a
Let me
draw. It
see.
was a draw in Brazil to
That's when
Shogun.
who what was the controversy? Who won that fight? Yeah.
I don't remember.
Someone but I think Craig got a point deducted.
Yeah, yeah. I think he did too.
But Craig was fucking him up.
But I think he fucked him up in round 1, and then he lost the last 2 rounds, like, he totally gassed out or something.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
I don't fucking remember. Fucking Paul Craig is back. Made him tap the strikes in the second fight. But anyway, Paul Craig is back. I mean, people will see Johnny Walker what he did to what's his name, Ian Kudalaba, and they'll think that he's trustworthier. But no, you just can't. I'm not saying I'm betting on Paul Craig, okay? But by no means I feel like you could go with Johnny. Like you just think that he's gonna be more potent and accurate with his strike selection than Volkan was. And Volkan just looked real old and stiff, and which is definitely the opposite of what Johnny Walker is. So I could understand why someone's like, "Hey, look, like Johnny Walker, just much better athlete than Volkan. If Paul Craig, kind of fights him in the same way, Johnny Walker's gonna be able to knock his ass out." But you just can't do that 2-1, man. I just can't lay 2-1 on Johnny Walker. He's liable to do something really dumb. He's got a bad chin himself. You've seen some of the knockout reactions the guy's had. It's just, a telltale sign that, the chin is a little bit, the wires get a little bit, fucked up when he gets hit real hard. And Paul Craig is, I mean, he could hit him with a shot definitely on the counter. Johnny Walker does not have good defense. But so I'm not gonna, gamble on this site, but I think under for sure. Under has been steamed for sure. But I think under. I feel like these guys know the assignment. They know what they're there to do. They're not there. This is not here to be like all three judges score the fight like fucking what Volkan did in his fight in Paul Craig's last showcase in front of a live crowd in London. Paul Craig is. They told Paul Craig, they pulled on his fucking beard. They're like, Paul, you're not here to fucking go to decision, bro. Like, and we're gonna set you up with Johnny Walker in Brazil.
So
So
do you
let's
you
make it
endorse
happen.
the under at even -180, you would say?
The fight isn't gonna go under.
Yeah. Um, I guess I agree. I mean, it seems kind of obvious though. I'm for some
Here you
reason
go. Here you
I
go.
can't get myself to do
Here
it
you
a lot
go.
of the times when it's like an obvious outcome like this, the under. I just can't do it. Um, but
Like
yeah, I mean,
Jimmy
I
Flick, like Jimmy Flick versus Johnson, right?
yeah, but no, 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 that wasn't that's a different story. Um, like the Cachoeira Eubanks
No, I'm
under is a
saying
good example.
I'm saying the opposite because you just were like, "No, man, this shit's going for sure the distance."
Yeah, yeah, the ref
He's
thought
like,
differently.
"You're literally the only person thinking that shit in the world." They're like, "No, no, no, this is definitely going 15."
That is true.
I didn't
Anyway,
hear anybody else advocate for that.
no,
That
no,
was
me neither, actually, me neither. Now that you mention it, but I'll be cheering for Paul Craig, no doubt. I mean, I honestly think that couldn't Paul Craig just like proactively wrestle Walker and maybe take his back like from the jump here? I mean, Walker
I
is
just feel like
so
Walker's hips, he's like just like this dude
he,
Craig's grappling, his wrestling is bad, man. I thought it was getting better. I saw him like, take down Shogun. I'm like, oh, it's gonna keep getting better. Then you saw, bro, some of those takedown attempts against Volkan. You're like,
he would just
bro,
stop, like he would shoot, he would get on his
yeah,
knees, and there would just be like no drive behind these
yeah.
takedowns.
You're like, what are you doing, bro? And Volkan's not a good athlete, bro. I
I think
guess it
that
could happen. I mean, you saw what happened when Krylov started wrestling Johnny Walker. So I mean, conceivably, Paul Craig could do something kind of similar, but he's probably not going to do it.
no, yeah, yeah. The under is gonna hit here. Yeah, I've just decided it that I just don't see any way it can go over 1.5. I mean, if Craig stays in the feet, he's gonna get hit. If he shoots for lazy takedowns, he's gonna eat those Travis Brown elbows. And then if Craig gets on top or even on bottom, he's gonna be live to sub here. So
And you saw Johnny Walker's submission game, bro. Don't underrate that.
that
I
was
mean,
insane. That was insane. The fact that he rear
that
naked
shit
choked.
was good. That was some good shit.
People actually watched Kutalaba get rear naked choked by
Ha,
Walker, and they were
ha.
like, "Yeah, I'm gonna bet him in his next fight."
Yo, that's a good bet, but they didn't get the script, bro. But this is
Yeah,
going under, bro, for sure.
yeah. Um, props wise, don't see anything too good. Uh, maybe Craig KO 10-1. Um, that's gonna move us along to the next fight on the main card. I'm pulling up Tapology again. Yeah, it's women's 125 flyweight. Jessica
Yes,
Andrade taking
anger.
on Lauren Murphy.
Let's fight in
Uh,
the card.
-465 Andrade, +365 Murphy. I'll let you keep going, starting first with this one. I know you're chomping at the bit to get to talk
100
about it.
100% best fight in the card. You got Lucky Lauren. They made fun of Lucky Lauren last time out. That Cupcake Tate, but I don't even know what the reasoning was to be like, "Yo, Misha Tate," right? She's like, "Oh,
Minus
Misha Tate."
200.
Misha Tate, she won the boxing against Ketlin. Who the fuck cares? What does that matter? So Lucky Lauren, she did her thing. She showed best jab in the business. Literally, if you were to concocting the perfect female MMA fighter, you couldn't get past Lauren Murphy's jab. That would have to be a treat. You know, a special move, ability that you would definitely give them. Yeah, for sure. And she's fighting Andrade. Like, look, man, Lauren Murphy, she's never really been knocked out. The only girl that knocked her out was you know, and that was, head kick and then a bunch of other shit and shit, pun intended, because Lucky Lauren, she had like, I don't know, she had like E. coli or some shit for that fight. So Lauren was not at 100%, and that's the only time she's been knocked out. And I just don't think it's gonna happen here. Now, I say all of this. It could look like Damon Jackson versus Ige last week, where Lauren, the difference in power is crazy. But look, Jessica Andrade is fighting like I don't even you never know what fight she is at 125, 115. Obviously, the woman she's fought at 3 weight class. I think she the only girl to ever fight at 115, 25, and 35? Maybe not, but definitely the most
Andrade
successful.
has
Yeah, I
herself.
know. That's what I'm saying. Andrade.
I thought you
Um,
were talking about Murphy. I'm sorry.
no, Murphy's never fought at 115, I don't think.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but so obviously Andrade,
Another woman has. I just can't think of who.
she has power in any weight class, right? But the point is, like, she's arm triangling Lemos from the feet. She's doing some of this stuff to like these little girls. Lucky Lauren is a woman. She is not a child. She is not a girl. She is a woman. She's almost 40, dude. But she's honestly probably hitting her peak, now. Like honestly, she like I don't know how. Let me not. I had a whole little rant about it, but I'm not gonna go into it. But anyway,
Damn. You're gonna
anyway,
tease the audiences like that.
yeah. But anyway, Lucky Lauren, bro, she's just super steady. Like, is Andrade really gonna take her down, hold her down? Like, I doubt it, bro. You know that Lucky Lauren has cardio. You know that she's got a lot of output. She could wrestle too. She could take down Andrade easily, bro. And Andrade has never really grappled with girls like her size. Or I mean, she has. Let me not like. I'm not trying to disparage Jessica Andrade here, right? I'm trying to say Laura Murphy's a bad bitch, and I'm at plus. What was the price? 350. What is it?
365.
365. Hell yeah, bro. What are you crazy? It makes no sense. So hopefully Lauren doesn't shit the bed like she did in her title fight, and stay. Don't drink the water there, Lauren. Fucking Fiji only. I'll bring home the win somehow, some way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I agree. The line's probably wide.
Fucking Jessica Andrade plus 150 to win by knockout. Come on. This girl's knocking out Cynthia Calvillo, bro. Come on. Like, this is no, you can't compare Calvillo to Lucky Lauren
And
Murphy.
also, when she's knocking women out, it's not like she's like beating them up and then eventually finishing them. She typically just finds like one lucky shot that shuts like their lights off or something. I think that's what I guess Calvillo was a little bit of a sustained one, but
He was
the truth,
losing to Amanda Lemos. I mean, she
yeah.
was getting leg kicked. I mean, she was going to kill her. Don't get me wrong. Dude, she lost. Whatever. Go ahead. You go.
Well, yeah, I truly do think Murphy is a better fighter than Lemos. So the fact that she's has like what 15% chance of a less to win, maybe even more.
ROI on Lauren Murphy fights is outrageous.
Yeah, perennial underdog. So
It's
yeah, I
outrageous,
agree.
bro.
I agree. I mean, I won't be putting nearly as much as unit wise as Ozzy is. Maybe only a half unit, I would
Lauren
say.
by decision, bro. 7-1. 7-1.
I was in attendance for last fight. It was good stuff.
At one house on Lauren by decision, bro. Afterwards, you houses, dog. She wins by decision.
That's yeah, housing market right there. You do have to be
Seven
too.
to one. Women's 125 fight, and Lauren Murphy is 7-1 decision in a 3-rounder. Show me a model that comes to that. Someone
uh,
DM me.
all right, that's enough about that one. Welterweight fight:
Contact contact our
Gilbert
friend.
Burns,
What's our friend's name?
Neil
Solar
Magny.
Warden. Solar Warden.
Yes,
Want to know
yes,
what his
good.
model says.
Good to shout him out.
Shout out.
Anyway, welterweight division, Gilbert Burns, Neil Magny. Gilbert Burns, massive favorite, minus 475, Magny plus 375. I mean, yeah, Burns probably gonna diddle him. Uh, yeah, I mean, don't even see how Magny's able to do his typical thing here of, weaseling out a decision just because Burns is gonna be able to just change levels and take him down, whenever he wants. Magny just every time he faces a guy with a good top game and just decent wrestling, I mean, he typically gets decimated. The calf kick is gonna be bad for Magny here on the feet. The boxing of Burns is probably gonna give him issues, and Burns should roll here, honestly. It seems like a matter of how is he gonna win. Haven't really given it much thought, but I do just think right away sticks out. KO at 350. I think I would probably rather take that than Burns sub. Burns hasn't actually subbed anybody since like Mike Davis, right? Like 4 years ago. That was at 155 too. So yeah, no sub since yeah, like I said, Mike Davis 4 years ago. So um, I think you might as well go KO on this one. But I don't know. I think it'll probably somehow stretch to a decision, and I think it'll somehow go the full 15. What about you? Do you think
Yeah, I was thinking that. Thinking that, Martian. It's funny you say that. I was thinking that.
that it will
Then,
go 15?
yeah, I was thinking that. But then, you know what happened? Watch a shave
What
cat
happened?
fight. Watch a shave cat fight. Brother, there is no way Neil Magny is surviving on the ground with Gilbert Burns, bro. It's impossible.
If Burns wants to finish him, though,
No,
at which
bro, Burns is 1000% taking this guy down. 1,000,000%. It's not.
so you think sub?
Yeah. Because I mean, I don't know if it was maybe Neil was just this was his way of giving up. But the way he just gave Shave Cat that guillotine, like the coming up, trying to get up from like bottom half guard, like I would have guillotined him. I'm telling you right now, 1000%. Neil Magny comes up on a single leg like that on me, he's going to sleep. All right, I'm guilty. So I could only imagine Gilbert Burns is licking his chops, and he trains the Shave Cat. They know they're like, yo, Neil Magny, like you should be able to like that's light work. I'm I honestly I root for Neil Magny now because like he's just crazy. Like like the way he finds ways to win fights is just crazy. Like he is a great test case in like I don't know like analytics. They need to look into what the fuck Neil Magny does, bro. Um, but yeah, I just think that I think that he could honestly Neil. I feel like Neil could have success here with his real long range weapons. But what I feel that he's just a little too weak for a guy like Gilbert Burns, and he doesn't throw. Like, I would like for him to throw like some more uppercuts, like some more like maybe like front kicks, like even because he has such a volume based approach. I feel like just mixing in some more of those strikes that are a little bit more heavy and stronger would do his game a lot of justice. But I mean, it's working what he's doing. But I like the under. It just I like under. I'll take the under. I'll take doesn't go the distance or yeah, doesn't go the distance. Under either one. That's what I'm
Yeah,
rolling.
I sure hope it'll go under. I mean, I don't think this fight has much in terms of entertainment value, so,
This is a
ho
co-main. This is a co-main.
yeah. No, no, no. Co-main's title fight, which is next. The first time in UFC history there's been a fourth fight between two guys happening this weekend. Davison Figueiredo, the current champion,
First
takes
time,
on
right?
Brandon. Yep, first time ever. Brandon Moreno. The line for this one, Bet Online has it minus 123 Moreno, plus 103 Figueiredo. So obviously a lot can be said about these fights. I guess I'll go into a little bit of an elaborate spiel. I'll preface it by saying, though, I don't have a bet on the fight thus far. I hope I don't bet on the fight at all, honestly, because I just feel, first of all, I'm a big Figueredo fan. I would definitely prefer that he wins this fight. We bet him in the last fight. He was big value there. We're getting a worse price on him here, but I still think that if there's one guy to bet on in this fight, if you must make a money line bet, I do think Figueiredo is the better case. Um, but it's not exactly a play I would endorse because the UFC wants Moreno to win, I believe. Um, They keep doing a rematch for this the fight, and I believe it's because they want Moreno to walk away with the belt. But the fact that they're doing this fight in Brazil, doesn't really help that case. It doesn't seem really good for Moreno's chances, and especially when you consider the fight is, probably going to hit the scorecards, and the fact that it's in Brazil, in Brazil's home, in Figueiredo's, home country, that's not going to fare well for Moreno because
Speaking of
um,
that, can we get boots on the ground or information on if Model got flown out to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil? We
Yeah, that
needed
would be
I need
big.
I'd like to know his whereabouts. I'd like to know who the fuck is down there judging.
I think it'll be like a Brazilian guys. Yeah, maybe we should go back and look at the last event in Brazil and see if it there. I don't think I can't think of any, but anyway, so I think that I never thought that the UFC like had an influence on judges' decisions. The Paddy Pimblett fight made me sort of question that, but. A good example that the UFC doesn't have anything to do with judges is the last fight. I mean, that fight was in California. The crowd was behind Moreno. You got to think that he was the reigning champion. You got to think the UFC would have preferred he won the fight, and then it was a close fight that you could have given to Moreno. I don't. I think it would have been a wrong scorecard, but they still didn't. They gave it to Fig. So I don't think that there's much of an agenda in terms of like the UFC and influencing the judges in this fight. But anyway, I sort of throw the second fight out. I think that Figueredo definitely had like a fucked up weight cut in that fight, and Moreno wiped the floor with them. But I don't think when these guys are at their best, I don't think that fight is super relevant. We've seen these guys go 5 rounds 2 times, and I think that that's what we have to suggest most of our evidence on here. So of those 10 rounds, I thought Figueredo won 7 of them. I thought you could even give him 8 of those rounds. You also can look at the difference between the first and the third fight. Figueiredo threw, I believe, 80 less strikes from one fight to another. It was like a 28% decrease in strikes, while Moreno threw almost the exact same amount of strikes. So the first fight, I honestly thought Figueiredo won fairly clearly. The judges disagreed. And then he went on to throw 80 less strikes. He landed 50 less strikes, and he still won the fight unanimously. So you hear people back in Moreno saying he has the better volume. He throws more strikes. I don't think that that's, super relevant here when we just pointed to the last fight, Moreno threw 80 more strikes than Figueiredo did, and he still unanimously lost the fight. But you know why, guys? Because Figueiredo lands harder. I think that's pretty clear by now after seeing him fight for 13 rounds. Figueiredo does more damage when he lands. The leg kicks in the last fight did damage. The punches that caused the knockdowns did damage. And I just think that when Moreno lands on Figueiredo, it doesn't have the same damaging impact and attritional impact like Figueiredo. You can also point at cardio. You can say that Figueiredo, he has a little bit more irregular cardio. Well, guys, he's won the fifth round of both fights.
Ooh,
So
good
so
fact.
I don't I mean, I think Moreno I mean, actually, I had him winning the 5th round of the trilogy, but fun fact is the judges actually 2 of the judges had, Moreno winning the round. So I think that Figueiredo is the better fighter. I think that he's proven that over the first, 2 relevant fights, the decisions. The only, room for pause is the fact that he, uh probably does have a little bit more miles than Moreno. Moreno's younger. Moreno's had that Kai France fight to stay active. And the weight cut for Figueredo seems to be more of an issue. So some of those intangible things that aren't really on tape, I think, do point to Moreno. So I see why he's a slight favorite, but I still gotta go with Figueiredo as the pick. I will be rooting for Figueiredo, and I gotta trust him to just do what he's been doing over the 2 relevant fights, and that is just continuing to land the harder shots, doing more damage over 5 rounds, and, banging at least 3 of these rounds. So, go Figueiredo, hope he gets it done, but, definitely not confident in him to, actually do it.
Yeah, so these guys are fighting again, crazy. I mean, you know, I think it's the last fight was what in June? When was that fight?
January, bro. 12 months.
Last year? The other fight was in June. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, yeah. You're right.
Got it. So this one was on the last Gon card, and then there's another Gon card. So I mean, I thought Figueiredo won that last fight. I was live betting him a little bit. I think that the only thing that hesitate with picking Fig is, and doing the whole training camp in Brazil this time. I don't really think it really matters all that much. So I just think this fight's gonna go over. I think both of the times, both guys, they've stunned each other a little bit, but not all that much. And then I feel like the grappling, in reality, just because it every fight, every round starts in the feet, and these guys are so kind of just quick and agile that sometimes it's hard to keep them on the ground for prolonged periods of time. So I think submission is probably. I don't think it happens again, like similar to like how Moreno submitted him the second time, which I did have. I did have that at like 10-1 or something. So I think this fight's gonna go over, and someone's gonna win by decision. I don't really know who. I lean towards Figueiredo to win this fight again, by decision again. But I think instead of taking the little short money line price or laying juice on Moreno, I'll just take the over 4.5. It's like -150, and call it a day.
Yeah, I see that angle. I mean, I think it's gonna be a pretty high tempo. That's the only reason I might have
But
some
they're
call on
not
this.
hitting each other that often, bro. Like they don't really sit down and start exchanging shots that much.
Yeah. Well, that's a difference I noticed in between the first and the third fight is that in the first fight, Figueiredo was kind of going after Moreno a little bit more. He was initiating exchanges while in the third fight, he kind of took like the role as the counterpuncher. Um, and he really is the thing is Moreno, I think, seems a little scared of Fig's power at times. Like the third round of the trilogy, Moreno was really tuning it up, maybe having his best moments of the fight. And then the big knockdown for Fig happens. And then round four, Moreno is back to throwing like very few strikes. And he doesn't want to really let his combinations go because he knows that he can land a combination or two, but then Figueredo is eventually going to sit down on something. He's going to hit him hard, and Moreno's going to, retreat a little bit. So yeah, man, I really hope Fig wins. I think the leg kick is a good tool that will be there. I mean, Moreno's real heavy on the lead leg. And one last thing I'll say is Moreno's fight against Kai Friends, guys. I think people interpret that fight as like one-way traffic for Moreno. That fight on the judges' scorecards was 1-1, 2-0, and 0-2. So those rounds, the judges were interpreting them as toss-up rounds against Kai Kara. So I think that's something to consider here. Um, we'll be cheering for Figgy though. Have the live bets ready. And as we mentioned earlier, bro, this fucking fight being in Brazil has to be a good 5-10% advantage to Figueiredo, doesn't it? I mean, how could it not be? Um, So we're gonna go along to the main event now for the vacant light heavyweight championship. Second pay-per-view in a row where they're fighting for the same belt. Still vacant. Glover Teixeira, the once and former champion, or it's the once and future champion, excuse me, taking on Jamahal Hill. The odds for this one, Jamahal Hill -140, Glover Teixeira +120. I'll let you start this one off. What are we thinking here for the main event, Ozzy?
Crazy how this one, this fight came together with what happened last month, and then Glover just being ready for it. Yeah, I mean, I kind of really like Glover Teixeira in this fight, and I think a lot of people look at it and I don't know. I mean, I think you kind of know before you go in when if you're like looking at content, or you follow this guy for picks or whatever it is, you kind of know who's going to be bet on Glover and who's not. Um, you could kind of just know. But like the issues that I see, I mean, Jamal Hill, he's definitely over exceeded my expectations of him. But last year this guy was an underdog to Jimmy Crute. Obviously, landed some good shots there, and I could see a lot of the punches that he has a tendency to throw. landing on Glover, similarly to how Yuri was landing. Some of those punches, like those uppercut, punches that come down the middle, some of those hooks that you kind of throw at, different angles here. He is a southpaw as well. Um, but I just feel that on the feet, Glover, with kind of like, the parries, the boxing that he brings, that he does, some of the shots that he starts to slip in on people, like his left hook, right cross, and kind of coming inside and finishing the combinations with those. I think they'll be there for him against Jamal Hill. However, is a really strong guy as well. So, when they are throwing shots and kind of, falling into the clinch and, in positions like that, I feel like he's definitely going to have the advantage there. And then on the ground, obviously, he has a, big edge as well. Is a little is pretty say um those, some of the right movements, but I still think his ground game overall is doesn't have the greatest feel to it. I think there is some maneuvers that he gets done that you're like, all right, like that was good defense, or that's a good instinct, or things like that. But there are other positions that you could tell he just kind of doesn't have knowledge. Like, some of the positions against Paul Craig. I see some good things. That where he's kind of strip, a certain frame or a foot on the hip or whatever it is, and get to a certain position. But then there's just other areas where you could just tell he's like maybe like blue belt level on the ground. Um, and if he just gets put on his back, just feel as long as Glover doesn't dive on submissions and get too impatient, he should be able to advance position pretty well on him. Then probably finish with like an arm triangle, I think is probably the method here. But it could, I wouldn't be surprised that Jamal like bucking him off or something like that happening if there is a takedown. But I just think that Glover's gonna be able to, like I said, keep his guard up, parry some of those punches that come his way. I think the kicks and knees are maybe something that is an intangible that maybe I'm not respecting as much. Maybe Glover needs to watch out for that, be a bit more than I give it credit for. But I just feel that with the boxing that that has, his cardio conditioning, the pace that he keeps, and then ultimately his wrestling game and top control should be enough at this win at plus money. Felt again in Brazil. How can I not side with Glover Teixeira? Money line price. Sprinkle on is inside the distance, line as well. But yeah, I love Glover in this fight.
Yeah, man, complete agreement. It's typically not a good thing historically when we're agreeing like this in the main event, but yeah, I mean, I think this one, has the writing on the wall. I mean, every grappler that Hill has faced, even some non-grapplers have, put him on the mat and put him on his back. I don't think the guy's, wrestling is that good. And I certainly don't think his bottom game is any good. And, Glover is going to be, just suffocating on top. And uh, I just think that the Glover getting the fight to the floor is so much more reliable than Hill, knocking him out on the feet is. I think that when this fight stays in the feet, it's not even going to be, complete one-way traffic for Hill. Glover is a skilled, crafty striker of his own. He had moments of striking success against Jiri in their fights. So I think the idea that Hill's going to just, instantly kill him on the feet, I think that's pretty off here. And I just think that the most reliable path to win fights typically in MMA is with grappling, and I think that you can replicate that the most times. And I think that that's what's going well for us here is that we have the far superior grappler, the better wrestler, the guy with the better jujitsu by a mile, the more experienced fighter in 5 round fights, and just Jamal Hill, man, getting taken down by Thiago Santos and Darko Stosic and getting tied up on the mat, putting your hands on the
The
mat
more
versus Paul
prepared
Craig.
fighter, the guy that was getting ready for a five
Yeah.
rounder, got delayed, got right put back on the docket.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jamal Hill um is documented to take dabs. He smokes a lot of weed, takes dabs, bro. Like you can't be taking dabs and being a world-class athlete. That's fucked up. I don't care. I don't understand.
Let him
You
know,
should not
Jim.
be able
Let
to
him
do that.
know.
You
Fuck
shouldn't
yeah.
be able to do that. And if a guy, um, you know, it would just be sad for Hill to fly into Brazil and beat Glover like this. I mean,
Can't happen.
It
Uh,
shouldn't. It shouldn't. And
mm,
anybody who wants that to happen, I mean, come on, bro. Like that's sick.
I just
Seeing a full
can't see how, bro, like, told me at any point in Jamahal Hill's career, literally, after or before the fight, look, in X amount of time, you're gonna want to bet Jamahal Hill at -140 against Glover Teixeira in the main event. Who the fuck would
yeah,
say yes? Who? Why would you say
I
yes?
don't know.
Yuri Prohashka was -140 against fucking Glover. Open, at least. That's where it opened.
Yeah.
I remember you called me. You're like, "Oh man, let's do that." Right? You remember, right? You him, I
Yeah, it
don't
was
know,
-130. Yeah, I
at
do. Um,
-135, something like that. So I just
I do. And that wasn't even a good bet, though.
it
Like,
was, it won,
all things said and done. Um,
won.
but I mean, I just think it would be, another amazing story in Glover's career for him. He got the belt. He was a dog and kept winning and winning and winning to get the belt. And then he was defending it and he was 30 seconds away from retaining it. And, some crazy shit happened. And now he gets a chance to win back the belt as a 42-year-old in his home country of Brazil. I mean, I think it would be, just a fucking great Cinderella story. And unlike Shogun early in the card, it's probably not going to end in Cinderella story esque fashion. I think this one will, with Glover getting that choke, probably in
Oh,
the early
Glover
rounds
has
too.
to win, dog. Come on.
Yeah,
I don't know, dude. I just could not be going to sleep on Saturday after a Glover win and being like, "Man, I lost money on that." Like, you just gotta feel like an idiot. You fucking see Anthony Smith or whoever it is, whoever is gonna be on the fucking desk, like, knew how big of an advantage Glover had on the ground, and it showed. And you just feel like
and
such an idiot. Like,
bro, 40-year-old Thiago Santos with torn knees, way past his prime, was just up 2 rounds to 1 on Hill going into the fourth round. And dude, I just feel like people, right? They say, "Oh, Glover gets hurt," but dude, this guy's ability to get hurt and to keep fighting is some of the best ever. It's literally right up there with like Frankie Edgar and GSP, some guys who have just overcome some crazy adversity and kept chugging along through it. Glover is easy to hurt, sure, but he is so difficult to finally put away. And that's what so many guys have done. They've hurt him. They've, gotten overzealous. They went for the kill, this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, they're on bottom and they're losing the fight. And
being said,
that
I will say this: Jamal Hill hurts Glover Teixeira. He's in Nagamo.
I don't think that's such like I don't know. That's not a guarantee.
That's what I'm guaranteeing.
I think that Jamal's gonna make some absolute bonehead move to put himself in top position here. Like he's maybe Glover slips or maybe he gets knocked down. He's gonna follow Glover to the ground, and within a minute, he's gonna be on his back, and he's gonna be like, "What the fuck did I just do?" Like that jury fight had so many back and forth turns. Like he would be getting his ass kicked. Like round two, he was getting his ass kicked. Next thing you know, Jerry slips and Glover's in mount just pounding him with elbows. Like he capitalizes on mistakes, so well for any fighter, but a guy his age, he's amazing at it. So that's enough Glover gushing. Let's hope he gets the win this weekend, and that'll do it. That'll do it for the podcast. Really
15
hope the
fights. Jesus Christ.
Really hope that the Brazilians,
Lord.
win their titles in the main event. That would be sick, honestly. Honestly, if you're like me and Moreno and Hill winning would gross you the fuck out, maybe we should parlay, Moreno and Hill to
No,
soften
do
that
a whole
potential blow.
do a whole Brazil parlay.
Yeah, some of these fights are Brazil versus Brazil.
Except not Lauren Murphy. Take either skip, omit, or and Lauren.
There's, 2 Brazil versus Brazil matchups. We got Moises and Rod in those, but,
Crazy.
yeah, honestly, not a bad fight card to concoct some parlays here. I think there's a several safe favorites in the card that you can, work into some parlays here, which I won't say often, but it's the case.
Indeed.
But, that'll do it. Any closing thoughts here, Ozzy? What's your prediction for the Eagles versus Giants final score
This,
Saturday night? What
this war is war this week, little bro. I mean, the Giants are 1000% covering that spread. I mean, last week I told people in our Discord group responsibly everything you own, the Giants. against the Vikings. That was an easy win. That was like wire to wire, basically. Like there was never any doubt. That +3, zero doubt. And then this past weekend, bro, I would have shipped so much on the Bucks or the Bucks teaser. Didn't come to fruition. Thankfully hedged a little bit on the
I need a
what's it
score
called?
prediction, bro. Who cares
Oh,
about the Bucks fucking teaser?
I mean the Giants are gonna win. The Giants are gonna win. I'm gonna predict the score is gonna be 20, 24, 21 Giants. Get the win.
Okay. I'll go 27-20 Eagles. So they will cover by half a
I'm
point. The
telling you right
under
now,
will hit.
Jalen Hurts is injured. Maybe you're aware of that. I think you are that as aware as you're gonna be on Sunday or Saturday. Jalen Hurts.
I don't know.
Jalen
But
Hurts.
why wouldn't Miles Sanders and Gainwell and Scott just run the ball down the throat
It's
like
not
we
gonna
did the last
happen.
game?
Yeah, bro. We didn't.
Last game, or
What
not last
last
game, but
game? Oh, that was
the
when
the
we
the
didn't
one
even
the
have
one
our
the
whole
one where the
defense in that.
players were trying when the Eagles scored 48 points
We
on them.
didn't have like our whole defense in that game, bro. That's you guys are gonna get rocked. That's all I'm gonna tell you, bro. Yeah.
27-20 Eagles.
Slayton,
That's what we'll do.
Slayton.
This shit's on the same time as the fights. What are we gonna be doing? What's your attention span gonna be like? Are you gonna be
Oh, bro, I'm
mostly
not
caring
watching the
about?
fucking fights, bro. Get the fuck out of here. I'm watching the fucking Giants Eagles, bro. You crazy? What is that? 8:15, right? It's 8 o'clock on
Yeah,
Saturday,
yeah.
bro. Think I'm watching fucking. This is a fight. What fight would that align with?
Let's see. First fight on
I'm
the
watching
ESPN
Jamil,
prelim.
fucking Shamil versus Almeida.
No, it's gonna be Bonfim and
I
Lazzez.
don't give a fuck, bro. So I'll
Yeah,
have that on the
women's
second
final.
screen. Or me if I'm out, I don't know. I haven't decided what we're gonna do for that. We were fucking pumped last week about the game. By the way, I mean, I think honestly, bro, you guys don't know what's coming to you. You guys think that you're just gonna be able to throw it up to AJ Brown and do all this bullshit, bro. We got our corners back. They're gonna lock up. I mean, you Dallas Goddard has to go off. I would recommend Dallas Goddard props. Jalen Hurts, bro, he's not ready for this defensive line. We're coming for him. We're coming for him.
Well, all right, we'll find out.
It's
We'll
gonna be
find out
under
very
game.
soon.
I would bet the under. But Giants
Um,
games have been going over. I would bet the under.
all right, that'll close it out, everybody. I hope you all enjoy the pay-per-view this week. Enjoy the NFL playoffs. No
Giants
UFC next
best
week.
team against the spread this season. Best team.
Wait, there's no UFC for the next 2 weeks, isn't there? No, no, there's UFC on February 4th, I think, right?
That's like the
Yeah, yeah,
1
I'm
a.m. card.
mistaken.
That's like the 1 a.m. card.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Korea card or
Not
some shit.
watching. Is that
Yeah.
Super Bowl
Super
week or is that
Super
Super
Bowl is
Bowl
the
week
next
the
day.
week
Yeah,
the
I think
week
so.
after?
Yeah.
No, I think they moved it back 1 week.
Really.
Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, we'll see everybody in 2 weeks then back on the podcast. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you all later. Peace out, everyone.